Hi everyone. As I mentioned in the course news, what I'd like to do for this week, instead of a more formal lecture, is to do a little demoing of both MODS and VRA Core, show you some examples of MODS and VRA Core in use, mostly in libraries, but also in other cultural heritage institutions. And the first one we're going to do is MODS. And what we're looking at on the screen, you might be thinking to yourself, but that's not MODS. And no, it's not. It's just a MARC record in the Library of Congress catalog, displayed online as an HTML page. And it's a simple display of the information that's in the MARC record, that this is a book. It's by someone named Sebastian Fox. The title is Birdsong. It was published in 1993. There are some additional links to things like biographical information about Mr. Fox, some sample text, the publisher description, the thing that appears on the book jacket, the book blurb. All that is information that Library of Congress gets from the publisher and encodes in HTML so that it can be linked to from MARC records. What's more interesting for our purposes right now is this other link here that says LCCN permalink, Library of Congress control number permalink. And if we follow that, what we would come to, actually what we want to do is go ahead and follow that. And what we come to is this still, a nice simple display of a record in the Library of Congress catalog, but that you can see that you have some choices to view this record in other formats, MARC XML, MODS, or Dublin Core. And if we follow the link to the MODS record, and sorry, I'm going to have to shove windows around a little bit here. If we follow the link to the MODS record, this is what we get. We're looking at the XML for the MODS record. And the kind of nice thing about looking at the raw XML for the MODS record is that you can open and close the different elements and see what kind of elements you have. So if I click this minus sign, I've essentially closed up the entire MODS description. It opens with this MODS declaration. I am a MODS description, and here's where the definition of me lives at these two links here. And then at the very bottom, it closes with this end MODS tag. But if I open it up again, and I can open up all the other parts of it, you can see that these are the parts of the MODS description. It goes on for a bit. The reason why MODS is fairly popular in the resource description community is that it takes those MARC elements and gives them human readable names in XML tags, but human readable names. So instead of having to deal with 245, we have title info, and instead of having to deal with subfield A for title proper, we have this nested element within title info, which is title, so title proper. So you don't have to deal with 245 subfield A, you instead have XML tags, title info, and the sub element title. And the nice thing about, being able to open and close these elements is you can start closing them up, and you can start to see what the main elements in a MODS description are. Here's another one. Instead of having 650, you have subject, and what's the authority for this subject? Where did it come from? LCSH, Library of Congress subject headings. As the textbook mentioned, MODS is maintained by Library of Congress. So if we start following these links to find the definition of MODS, if we follow this one that I've highlighted, we end up here, which is the MODS official homepage at Library of Congress. And you can see that it says right at the top that the definition for MODS lives at this link. If we follow this other link, also to the MOD standard at Library of Congress, we come to the actual MODS schema definition, which gives you instructions for how to use the MODS elements, what they mean. It's kind of like the Dublin Core usage guide that we looked at last week. So all well and fine, and so you might be saying, well, so okay, it's just taking MARC data and wrapping it up in pointy angle brackets. If we look at this, that's certainly what we've got. But one of the powerful things about MODS is that MARC data wrapped up in those angle brackets, even though it's still pretty ugly, is a lot more malleable than it was when it was a MARC record. So you can do lots of things with it. So for example, I took this MODS record and I pasted it into a document, an HTML document in my HTML editor. And then I linked it to a style sheet. And what I get is, again, not very pretty, but I get a nice, simple little description or a nice, simple little MODS record that I can display as a web page. And again, you know, it doesn't look that great, but since I have this MODS information in HTML, I could start going through it and I could start adding more style to it, and I could put in line breaks and I could make these links actionable links. So that's the real point of MODS, is that it gets the good data out of MARC records and gets them into a much more transformable and malleable XML format.